Mr. President, welcome back to China and welcome back to Urumqi.
Thank you. Shishi.
Xie. This is actually my hometown, so I hope Xinjiang is treating you well.
Very well. Any part of China I go, I feel loved. And there's nothing to conquer one's heart rather than love. So the Chinese love keeps bringing me back and forth.
I'm so happy to hear that you're having a good time here. It's been giving you the warmth it has been giving me every time I come back. Now, I understand you've been to China many times, right? You've actually called China your second home.
Probably 16, 17 times.
16 to 17 times.
17th time.
Amazing.
Coming to China.
After so many visits, what struck you as new or different this time around?
Your city has changed completely. In 14 years that last I was here, it has changed completely. Your economy has changed. I see the people happier. I see the people well off, doing well for themselves. And that's when the people get happy and contented and wanted when they realize that there is something for them.
And you've actually been to several cities during this trip, right? You've been to Chengdu, you've been to Shanghai, and now Urumqi. What are the key outcomes you are hoping to achieve through these visits?
My visits are always goodwill visits because China is the future and all of the East will work with China. China's initiatives and especially President Xi's initiatives. In the last SEO summit, now understand global governance is a depth in that sentence. Global governance means I can't walk into any other country, no other country can walk into me. They have to be respectable about my territory. I should be respectful about their territory. And I bring to China the international goodwill and the Pakistani people's goodwill and the assurance that we stand with China in good times and bad times. It's not that I see China going through a bad time, but even then so, we are there in case needed.
It's so good to hear your perspective, Mr. President, about China's recently proposed global governance initiative. Now, talk to us more about it. How do you think, or where do you think Pakistan and China can maybe work together to promote that initiative and contribute to a more equitable and more multipolar world order?
We don't need a martial mindset. We need an economical mindset. We need to let the people live and let live. So everybody should allow the space in the world. We have signed an agreement with you for even space technology. So the idea is to be self-sufficient in an agriculture sector where we can know what's going to happen tomorrow. And this I signed in my first presidency also, because your production per acre is much more than mine, all right? Like you, I assume you see it in hectares. So per hectare, your results in the agriculture sector are much better than anyone else's. So we want to be complemented and helped in that sector. Water resources, maximum utilization of water resources. In today's times, we have flood irrigation. That's how we irrigate. Now 1 acre is 4,400 square yards. Now can you imagine when it stands in a flood irrigation, how much water it takes? Hundreds of thousand gallons. But if the same thing was to be given in drip irrigation and better ways of water utilization, it would bring the utility of water to 1/3 for what we are using today.
There are lots of potential there for both countries to
Yeah,
work
exactly.
on these fronts: water management, disaster prevention, and farm technology. Now, Mr. President, I also want to get your take on the bilateral relations between the two countries. You know, in diplomatic terms, China and Pakistan are known as all-weather, strategic, cooperative partners.
All-weather, ironclad brothers, but I put it again that we are joint on the hip also.
Yes, on the street among local folks, it's much simpler. 巴铁.
So that's how close we are. And that is an opportunity. There's a concept that, you know, countries which are locked in by neighbors and they geographically locked in, they can't move or they can't do things. And then there is another concept of utilizing the countries which you have as neighbors to your input and to your advantage and to their advantage, because it's a win-win game all the time.
And in a meeting with the President Xi Jinping, earlier this year in February, you mentioned China and Pakistan will always be friends. In another meeting, you also mentioned to Foreign Minister Wang Yi that regardless of changing circumstances, Pakistan will always place trust in China. Can you talk to us more about it? Where does that basis come from? How did we forge that conviction? And how is it significant in today's fractured world?
Young people have to be taught this and told about this, that how we can be a small country. We were and we are. But even then, in the West time, that time, we had influence. The first time Kissinger comes to China, he comes from Pakistan. It was a secret mission, not secret anymore, but he flew to China from Pakistan. So we've always been trying to help Chinese positions. Wherever I go in the world, my first position is to respect China, give it what it is, the respect of the world it deserves for its people, for its technology, for everything.
The Chinese people really appreciated the support Pakistan has been given China when the country needed the most. I've often heard the stories from my parents' generation and my grandparents' generation. Pakistan is affectionately known as Bhatia, the ironclad brother here. It's so true. And the friendships between the two people are actually quite special. I also want to take some time to talk about the cooperation, the practical cooperation between the two countries. Now, CPEC, as one of the flagship projects under the Belt and Road Initiative, has seen substantial progress over the years. It has moved from blueprints to power plants and ports, and now both countries have agreed to an upgraded CPEC 2.0.
Yeah.
What do you think are the key priorities in this new phase? What are your expectations?
We are the closest port to China. And the land route, everything needs, with modern technology coming in. Today, AI can tell you what is what and where is how is what. So that port, one day, the generations to come, they will thank Chinese people and Pakistani people to think about that port. That port will be the closest link you have to China. And I was looking to this side of China, and this is going to be developed. All of the central China is landmass is here. So it has to be developed, and it will be developed. And in that case, we will have more interaction because, like I said, we can drive down to each other's countries. Not many countries can say we can drive down to China. In our case, we can drive down to you. So, and you can drive down to us. So it's a great futuristic concept.
And how are these projects directly benefiting everyday folks there in Pakistan, especially the younger generations?
You consider yourself in any new port, and when it starts working, the employment for the young people, there's employment for the region that is in, they get more attention, they get more trade, they get more facilities, etc. So there is great importance for me to make sure that Balochistan is safer. And the only way, look at this, look at your city. It's the fact that you all have improved economically that China has been more involved in everything. It's the economic growth that keeps nations together.
I also understand Pakistan is going big on new energy these years, an area where China has extensive experience.
Yes,
Do you see any potential?
I see a lot of potential. You have already, say, specialized in solar and wind, but I see you going in the future for H2O. Hydrogen will be the fuel of the future, and China will be the first one to make it.
And there is a lot of room for the two sides to cooperate, I'm guessing. Now, when you departed Sichuan province, you chose to take a high-speed train. What kind of experience has that been for you?
That high-speed train has blown my head off. I've been sleeping, dreaming about that train because, say, there are two cities, Karachi and Hyderabad, in my part of the world. If I had this train between the two cities, the travel is 20 minutes. Otherwise, the travel is 2.5 hours by road. So look at the potential. Look at the people being into interaction. But I've been mulling over the figures, and it's an expensive item. So I'm going back to Pakistan and take my Sindh government in confidence and look for money to make sure that we can come in with 70% to 60% of the investment, and 40% we can ask the Chinese for a soft loan or something, and we want you to run it for us. The Chinese will run it, and China doesn't have to run sitting in Karachi. It can run sitting in here, Shandu, sitting in Peking, sitting anywhere. Because now the world is global. It's all internet. Everything, work from home. So everybody is working from home. And it's a new revolution working from home. And our kids will be sharper and smarter than us. And they are. And I wish we could interact in education sector also. That I'm dying to send nurses to China. But first we have to sign an MOU with your embassy in Karachi and get together. Sindh government will mostly finance it. We'll give the building, we'll give the land, we need trainers. And those trainers don't have to be sitting in Karachi. They can be running a class from China. And practical aspect of it, the way the Chinese run medicine. Because that's what in demand here. I can't bring American ways and run Chinese hospitals. It doesn't work like that.
Now, this is quite a good example. The education sector's cooperation you mentioned, Mr. President, as quite an example of the cooperation between the two sides going far beyond just hard infrastructure, and economic cooperation is expanding into soft infrastructure, right? Tourism, education, healthcare. Any more plans on that front?
Yes, lots in the mind, and this is my first year as president. Let's see how much more we can guide our both nations to work forward.
And earlier you mentioned your trip to Sichuan province with agricultural cooperation as a key focus there. But on top of that, your delegation also went to the Golden Panda Award, a film festival.
My daughter.
Your daughter.
Panda World, I had to go. It was such an important festival. And why not? I love coming to any part of China.
How do you feel about it?
I loved it. Grace of our two nations' friendship. Chinese are always very willing to help us, and we are very willing to help China. So we're just hoping that this road gets better so I can interact more often and come by driving into China rather than taking the plane.
That'll be really nice. Thank you so much, President, for taking the time talking to us.
Sadr Asif Zardari